It was disappointment for Iaquinta on Saturday in the UFC on ESPN +9 headliner in Ottawa. He loses a unanimous decision to Donald Cerrone in the main event. Iaquinta could just never really get going the strategy he wanted. He came out looking to counter-strike against Cerrone, which I don't think was the best approach. I think he's a guy that you need to pressure early, try to hurt early. We know he's a slow starter, and Iaquinta could just never really catch him in that situation. And as the fight wore on, it just got better and better for Cerrone. He bloodied him up, he dropped him, he hurt him, and then ultimately Iaquinta loses the decision on this night. Had to be helped out of the octagon. Definitely took a lot of damage, and I would not expect to see him back in the very near future, but we know he is still among the toughest fighters on the entire UFC roster. His durability, his ability to take damage in this fight was extremely impressive on its own. He did have his moments. He landed some good shots on Cowboy, but he could never just really do anything to hurt him badly enough to really change the course of the momentum of the fight. It was going in Cowboy's direction, and the result spoke for itself. Nevertheless, Iaquinta is still a top fighter in the lightweight division. We've seen what he's done in recent fights. We've seen how well he's performed. He could just not really show up on this night, but that doesn't mean his title hopes or his future hopes of being a top contender at 155 pounds are over. I think he can bounce back with a win, 2 wins, and he's right back in the same position he was coming into this fight. I think he needs to look for a big opponent in there, someone that's really going to be able to thrust him towards the top once more, and I think Edson Barboza would be the perfect matchup for him. I think that's a fight that makes a lot of sense. Of course, Barboza coming off a knockout loss to Justin Gaethje just a few weeks ago at UFC on ESPN 2. He got stopped early in that fight. Nevertheless, he is still a guy who is one of the top lightweights out there. We know how dangerous Barboza is. We know his resume, and I think that would be a very compelling matchup against Iaquinta. Barboza's kicks are his biggest weapon. Of course, we've seen him knock out, stop so many people with those weapons, and Iaquinta struggled with Cerrone's kicks in this fight. So it'd be very interesting to see how he would adapt, how he would adjust, what he learned from this loss that would maybe take him forward in a matchup against Barboza, who's another kicker as well. I think that would be a very big fight. Both guys looking to rebound in a big way after suffering some tough main event losses. So I think as soon as they're ready to go, Edson Barboza, of course, his family had another child on the way just hours after the Justin Gaethje fight. He's probably looking to take a little time off to deal with that and recover from a knockout loss. Iaquinta probably going to take some time to recover as well. Maybe that's a fight you do later this year if the UFC ends up going back to New York. So hopefully these guys are healthy, ready to go towards the end of the year. And I think you book that fight, and the winner of that matchup is right back on track in the lightweight division.